Happy Halloween! Today I'm going to be reading you guys a few chapters of Cat and Mouse in a Haunted House by Geronimo Stilton. It was a foggy October night. It was a foggy October night. Oh, how I wished I was home in my comfy mouse hole. It was the perfect night to curl up with a good book and a cup of hot cheddar. But I wasn't at home. I wish I could say I was, boiling down at Lucky Paws Lane, or nibbling on a delicious dinner at my favorite French restaurant, La Squeakerie. But I was far away from every mouse I knew. I was stuck in the middle of a dark forest. Do you want to know why? Let me tell you. Oh, but first, let me introduce myself. My name is Stilton, Geronimo Stilton. I live in New Mouse City, where I run a newspaper. Yes, that's right, I am a newspaper mouse. I publish a paper called the Rodents Gazette. It is the most popular paper on Mouse Island. Our only competition is the Daily Rat, but that's another story. Let's see, where was I? Oh yes, how I got to the dark forest. Well, I had left New Mouse City to go visit my aunt, Sweet Fur. She was on vacation in the Pleasant Paw Hills. To get there, I had to drive through the dark forest. Have you ever been there? It reminds me of the woods where Hansel and Gretel Mouse got lost. Very dark and spooky. I had just passed Cat Claw Rock when a foggy cloud settled over my car. I felt like one of the three blind mice. I couldn't see my own paw in front of my own snout. I tried to check out my map, but it was no use. I was lost. The road grew narrower and finally led to a dirt path. Stale Swiss rolls, that didn't look good. Now I was really in the middle of nowhere. I shivered. Who knows what kind of crazy rats live out here in the deep, dark woods? What if they jumped on my car? What if they jumped on me? With shaking paws, I tried dialing my sister Thea. Rats! I couldn't get a signal on my cell phone. Oh, how I wished I was home. I drove on for another half hour in the thickening fog. I tried turning on my radio to get my mind off things, but I couldn't get a station. Instead, I listened to my teeth chattering. Then suddenly, out of the fog, a sign appeared. It read, "To Canny Cat Castle." Too shocked to squeak, I checked my map. Strange, very strange, I thought. There was no castle listed. I folded the map and shoved it in my coat pocket. Well, there was only one thing to do. I headed for the castle. I would ask for directions there. Just then, a bolt of lightning streaked down right next to me. For a split second, the dark forest glowed. It reminded me of that time my Uncle Flick Rat turned on the lights before the movie was over at the Grand Squeak Cinema. The audience went crazy. Every mouse wanted his or her money back. After that, Uncle Flit Rat got stuck working the cheese popcorn machine. His boss wouldn't let him near a light switch. I blinked my eyes in the bright white light. I could just make out the shape of the weathered old castle in the distance. Right at that very moment, my car stopped. I groaned. This was just not my day or night. I hopped out of the car. Now what? I knew nothing was wrong. I knew nothing about cars. I have trouble pumping my own gas. Suddenly, it started to rain. My whiskers were soon dripping with water. It was bitterly cold. I turned up my collar and started along the path leading to the castle. It was covered with dried twigs that crackled under my paws. The grass surrounding the castle looked like it hadn't been mown in years. Overgrown bushes lined the walls. This place really needs a good lawn service, I thought. Maybe I could give the owners my cousin Greenpaw's business card. He cut lawns for a living. Next to yellow, green is my favorite color, he liked to say. Starting up at the dark castle, I stumbled over more twigs. Maybe there was another reason why this place was a mess. Maybe the castle was empty. Next chapter. A castle with blood-red windows. The castle was surrounded by a deep moat filled with slimy green water. I stared at the building. The walls were made of the huge square stones. Windows, protected by thick iron bars, stared back at me. I flinched. The window panes were blood red. Just then, a light came on in the highest tower. In the darkness, it looked like the glowing eye of a terrifying monster. Oh, how I wished I was home! My fur stood on end from fright. As quickly as it had turned on, the light flicked off again. It was then that I noticed a flag hanging from the castle's highest tower. It showed a picture of a blood-red cat. The cat's back was arched and its claws were drawn. In front of the entrance stood 2 cat statues. The cat's jaws were set in evil snarls. I gasped. All of these cats were beginning to give me the creeps. Was this the homeowner's way of scaring away the riffrats? Well, I guess it was cheaper than an alarm system. I studied the statues. One of them had a sign with instructions for the doorbell. Press your paw here if you have no fear. I looked closer. The doorbell was blood red. Shivering, I pressed the ringer. Meow! A horrifying meowing filled my ears. Terrified, I scurried behind a bush. Holy cheese! This cat must have been some monster. After a while, I peeked out of my hiding place. Strange. Very strange. Not a furry face in sight. Finally, I realized the meowing was taped. It was coming from the bell. Once again, I approached the door. It opened, as if by magic. By now, I wasn't exactly dying to go in. In fact, you could say I was dying to scurry on out of there. But then a bolt of lightning practically took my paw off. Yikes! I didn't want to go inside, but I couldn't stay out in the storm. I practiced my deep breathing skills. Then I tiptoed inside. Crusty cheese slices. It was so dark and spooky. Oh, how I wished I was home. Okay, that's it for this reading. Come back for a part 2 as I try and read some more of this.